Okay, so we have the matchbook box patterned and ready for the easel element of it. So you need to cut out of chipboard. You need one piece 8.5 by 8.5 and one piece that's 8.5 by 4.5. For this one, we need to cut one cardstock that is 9.5 by 9.5 and one that is 8.5 by 4.5. And then for this one, we need one piece that is 9.5 by 9.5 and a piece that's 8.5 by 8.5. Set this piece, this aside, so we'll work with this one first. The 8.5 by 8.5, we do not score. We take the 9.5 by 9.5, we put it in our scoreboard, and we're going to score it a 1/2 inch on each of 4 sides. Just like this. Oops, I already had mine scored, but I'm just showing you. So you're going to want them all scored at a 1/2 inch. So each side of the 9.5 by 9.5 cardstock needs to be scored at a 1/2 inch. So you can go ahead and fold and burnish that. You see the lines. And we're going to wrap our big chipboard piece. So I'm just going to set this aside for now. Now we're going to take the 8.5 by 4.5, set that aside. We don't need to score that, but we need to take the 9.5 by 9.5. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put one side in. So this is a square, 9.5. I want you to score at 1/2 inch, 4 3/4, and at 9. Then turn it so that your other 9.5 inch side is at the top. Score at a 1/2 inch and at 9. Okay, so we have that. Let's move this out of the way. Let's work on the other piece first. I'm going to set this one aside. Bring in the larger, which is your 8.5 by 8.5. Okay, you can either use score tape, score sheets, or glue. I'm going to go ahead and use glue on this one. Make it real quick. And just put glue on the back. What we're doing is wrapping this piece of chipboard. So I'm just laying it in here, within my score lines. These are my placement lines. Burnish that down, turn it over and burnish. Make sure it's smooth. Use your hands to kind of spread that glue out so it's not warping. Now then we're going to turn it back over. And we're going to miter this. So I'm going to go ahead and get my mat and my miter tool. You can also just cut the corners out, whichever way works best for you. Now I have put my mitering tool up. So let's see if we can find it. There it is. Put it in with my score tape. So I'm going to grab my 3/8 inch score tape. You can use glue or tape. I haven't decided yet, so I'm going to get the tape out just in case. So I'm going to take my mitering tool and put it up on each corner, and take my knife, and I'm just going to cut off that corner right there at the top. We'll do this on all 4 sides. If you don't have a mitering tool and you like to cut it this way, just cut it at an angle. Make sure you leave about 1/16 of an inch, at least, from the tip. You can just use your ruler if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fold these over. Now I'm going to take glue. I'm going to do two opposite sides. Since this is square, it doesn't really matter. But you want to do this one and this one, or whichever ones you're doing, the opposite ones. So I'm going to put glue right along the edge of my chipboard onto the cardstock, sort of in that score line. You put your glue on, you can go ahead and bring it over, and you're going to miter it down until it sticks. So just really rub it and miter it. I mean, burnish, not miter. What am I saying? So get a good burnish here. Maybe even rub this side here. And we're going to do the other side the same way. Glue on the cardstock right along the chipboard. Then onto the paper. Fold it over. Burnish it. You really have to burnish it to make that glue stick down, but it will. Okay, turn that over. I'm going to go ahead and kind of burnish that right there. Now the other side, you're going to want to bring this fold that sticks over the corner here, bring this in, both sides. Check it. Okay, now we're ready to do the same thing. Glue along the edge in that fold line, and then glue on your flap. Just bring it over and burnish. And if any oozes out of the corner, go ahead and wipe that off real quick. Burnish this down. That gives you a really nice mitered corner there. Do the same on the last one. Make sure you bring this in where the excess from the other that you wrapped is, and then your glue. Bring that over. Now then, really pretty edge there. Then take this other piece that you cut. Now, this is cut 8.5, 8 by 8.5, which is exactly what this is from the edge to edge, and it should work. Going right up to the edge, not sticking over. So I'm going to put glue on it, because I want both sides finished and I wanted the edges wrapped, so that's why we're doing it this way. Make sure you get it on nice and straight on the corners here, on the edge, and it should fit really nice. Burnish that down. And this is our easel board right here that's going to be standing up. For the easel mechanism, we have the 9.5 by 9.5 piece of cardstock. And we're going to score one 9.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch, 4 3/4, and at 9. Now turn it. Score one, the other 9.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch. and also at 9. So now we have this like this. We're going to take our mat and pay attention. I even have to pay attention myself so I don't make a mistake. This 1/2 inch here, we're going to just cut out this corner right here. And on the other side, cut that out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap the sides of this. So let's miter just a little bit, not much, just a tiny bit of mitering right here. And then I'm going to miter this flap just a little bit, just so it doesn't stick out. Now burnish this bottom one. This is where it's going to attach to the top of the box. I'm going to fold this away, I think, and burnish this one. Now open this up because this is going to go here. I want you to go ahead and cut this fold line and miter it just a little bit, like a little V. Do it on both sides. Remember, this is the bottom. Okay. Now this part here, this is going to wrap in here. We're going to, thinking I want to keep this to make the edge strong. So we're going to cut out the square up here at the top. Let's just miter it a tiny bit. Okay, so let's fold this in and burnish. And let's go ahead and glue this one down. Onto itself, just like that, and burnish. Now we're going to check this one. We're going to fold it, make sure nothing's sticking out. Miter a little bit more if you need to. And add some glue. Fold this one down. Burnish that. Let's do the other side. Fold it and look at it. Okay, so this is going to be where that one's attached. I'm just double checking. It's going to be glued onto this on the back side. Okay, so now we take this one piece of chipboard. That was the 8.5 by 4.5, and we're going to glue it in within these score lines, right up against it. We want our easel piece to be really sturdy. If it's normally just for a card, then you can just do the cardstock. But I think for a box easel like this, I think it needs to be stronger. So I'm just going to get that in there. And then we're going to wrap this side. Put the glue on the cardstock right along the chipboard. Bring it over and burnish. Okay, and the other side. Wrap it over. Burnish that. Burnish the edge some. Take your other piece of cardstock that you cut to 8.5 by 4.5, and that's just going to fit exactly over that. Now look at it and see if it might need trimmed some. Maybe just a tiny, very tiny amount. Like a sliver on one end. This piece, it actually needs to be 8.5 by 4.25, not 4.5. So I have that correct on my notes. So this is going to glue right here. And I did trim just like a hairline off that 8.5. Just to make sure that it fit correct. So we're going to glue this on this side. I'm really hoping all this comes together the way I have it in my mind. So right here on the edge, all the way up. Okay, so burnish that down, wipe off the glue. Now, this is a support piece. This is going to be attached. If you don't like seeing that craft there, take a Sharpie pen where the chipboard is and just color that. Chipboard edge. I could have planned a way to wrap that and then add the hinge piece, but this way the hinge is all attached, and I think this just works. This is going to be not shown actually that much. It's going to be down like that. So now, when this goes onto the page, the top of the box like this, this piece is going to attach just the top half. And this will fold down, I think. I'm going to check. Okay, so turn this piece so that your folded seams are here on the inside, right there. You want to fold so that your hinge here on the bottom goes towards the unfinished edge. So you don't have to color that if you don't need to. Right there, that's not going to show that much. This one's not going to show because this other piece is going to be over it. So flatten this down so that you can see this, just the cardstock piece that has the edges wrapped, and you want the seams here facing up. And I'm going to take, let's see here, my score tape. I'm just going to use the 3/8. And I'm going to put a piece of score tape right here on the edge on the bottom. Across the top. Also the sides. This is going to help hold it on while the glue is drying. I'll go ahead and put one in the middle. Okay, let's burnish those down. Let's peel the backing off. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue in these spaces right here. This really strong. So take this finished edge, like the one where it's wrapped, and we're going to line this up right over this top part. Make sure it lines up. So you're only gluing the upper part of this wrapped chipboard piece right up in here. So turn this over and we burnish this half right here. Okay, so that is our easel mechanism. This is going to stand up like that, fold down back that way. So this is what goes onto the box. Now we're ready to do some pattern papers here. So I'm going to move this out of the way and pick out what I want on this piece. Okay, we're going to add pattern papers to this easel that we made. And I'm going to go with still using the June. So from that extra collection for just the month of June that I bought, I'm going to use the other solid here on the front. So I'm going to have a blue background. I ink the edges. This one is cut to 8 3/8 wide by 8 3/8 tall. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this on. So this goes onto the front of the big solid piece of cardstock that was wrapped. So I'm just going to make sure I'm lining it up good at the top. Okay, let's burnish it down. So this is the front of the easel. Now that I like my sections to be finished, so I flip this, turn this over. Let's flip this up right in here. And I cut from the sentiments. I'm going to use the dot side. You use 3 sheets of this. So this is going to go here. Right up here. And just line it up. You don't want to go over any of your folds, so it should line up right on that chipboard piece. That support piece. Go ahead and burnish that. I'm going to take another one, dry fitting it, and it's going to go here on the bottom. And I did ink all the edges of these. Oops. Burnish that. So that's the inside like that. So now we're going to do the back here. Now I only had 3 sheets of this paper, so I'm only going to have 3. So I'm going to put this one at the top. So that's the top. Then for the bottom where the 1/2-inch hinge is, where it's going to attach to the box, I did have scraps of the plaid and the floral, the patterned. And I am just going to put this one down. This is 4 inches tall by the 8 3/8 inches wide. So I'm going to glue this one down first. Because you don't want to have to buy another whole collection just to get that dot. And since I used it on the June page, I don't have an extra because I want to make sure I have cut aparts. So this is going to work just fine. See, it really was only 1/4 inch short, but I went ahead and cut this other piece 1 inch by 8 3/8. So I'm just going to glue that down. Check your scraps. You might have the dot. I don't think so. I didn't look. Didn't even think to look. But check yours just in case. Or you could use something different here. Okay. So that's going to fit right there. And that's patterned on the back like that. So that's going to work, I think, work just fine. So let's grab our box. This is going to fit right here. So we're going to fold this down, and I'm going to have to stand up to do this. Now, that doesn't fit all the way to the edge. I left a little bit of margin so that you can kind of see it's offset a little bit, like maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. So I'm going to play with that. Now there's going to be a stopper piece added on down here, so don't worry that this side is taller than this side at this point. So turn this sideways. And I'm going to use glue because I feel that I have some wiggle room with moving it around, and then it'll be really secure. So just on this back side of this 1/2 inch, so you want the V here at the top, so you want this folded down to the back. This is the bottom. So this is going to be the front here. You want it here on this side. So I'm just going to stand up real quick and make sure that I am centering it. Where it needs to be. Mine's a little bit crooked here underneath. Okay, I think it's going to be okay. Let's open it up, burnish this hinge. And there it is. Okay, so when it opens up, it will stand like that. I know you can't see that really well right here, so close to the camera, but it will have a stopper here, so then it folds down. Okay, right here where your hinge attaches your easel part of your box, you can just leave that black if you wanted to, or I am going to take a piece of scrap, so I chose the dots to match what's up here at the top, cut it 1 inch wide or tall, and it is 8.5 inches wide. So I'm just going to glue that, keep it off of the fold line, And so I'm just going to finish mine off with this. So like I said, if you want to just leave it black, you could do that. I'm just going to take some glue. We're going to attach that down. Now you could use maybe some other trim with solid lace or whatever you want to decorate or finish this piece off with. So I'm just going to line this up right here on the end and make sure it goes straight across, but not over the fold line here. And burnish that down. Just make sure it's not showing on the ends there. And so now we're ready to make our piece that will hold our easel up in place. So I'm going to move the box out of the way for now. I went to my chipboard scraps. I can't say for certain that it came from the chipboard I cut for this project because I keep a basket of scraps. But this one measures about 3 1/4 wide, tall, and I'm going to make it 7 inches. And then I took a scrap of the black cardstock, and it measures 5 1/2 by 7 3/4. So it's just a scrap. And what I'm going to do is glue that in right there so it can be wrapped, and I'm going to trim it down so it's kind of even. So that's going to go right there. So just take your chipboard and we're going to glue it down on one side. I'm going to place it about a 1/2 inch from the top and from each side, and then I will just take my big scissors and I'm going to trim this down so that it's equal, close enough, right quick, like that. And then I'm going to fold the sides, and then we're going to miter out these little corners here. I'm just eyeballing it on this. You miter the corners the way you're comfortable. And then I'm going to do the long sides first. So I'm going to use glue, put a line of glue right along the top of the chipboard onto the cardstock, and then glue on the wrap. And bring it over and burnish it down. And turn and do the other side. Okay, so here on the ends, just like you do on other things for album covers, make sure you push that corner in where the overhang of this one overhangs into the other side. And then I'm also going to glue these down. Just get that corner mitered really good. Nice point on it and burnish. Lucky for me, this is the back side because I got some glue on here. The art glitter glue dries clear, but sometimes it does show up on the black more so than the other cardstock colors. So push this one in. And fold it over. And like I said, this is the back side on mine. There's no need to cover this. This is going to be glued down onto our our box. And then we'll be adding pattern paper here. So I did get a little glue there. Kind of messy today. So grab your box, and we're going to see how this works. We may have to add another layer. And you figure out where you have, how upright you want it to stay to position this. So this is going to go right there, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. I'm going to probably mark it. Let's see, I like it kind of upright a little bit. And I'm going to mark it. I'm eyeballing it side to side. So I'm putting about, let's make it see how an inch does. Let's do 3/4. Let's see what 3/4 does. There and right there. So just over smooth, not quite 3/4. Okay, about 5/7/8. So I'm going to take my pencil. If I can find my pencil. Okay, there it is. And I'm just going to do a line here and here, and then one in the center here. That way I know where to glue it. So I'm going to let that go back. Take this, apply a good amount of glue on the back, along the edge, the center. My cat has got the sneezies, so if you hear him sneezing in the background. So now we'll line this back up again, here on the edge, here on the lines. And burnish that down. Burnish it down and let it dry. Make sure I'm on the pencil lines. There we go. If you see a little bit of a pencil line on one side or the other, you can just kind of erase that. So that one's just showing a tiny bit. Okay. And that's our stopper. Now I can add more stuff on top of this if I want to, but it does hold that easel up. It's hard to show you in camera, but it's going to hold it up for our calendars. And I'm going to probably use one of these clips. These are from Tim Holtz, and it will clip at the top right there. So if it was standing up, and you can put your calendar, clip it to that. Okay, so I'm going to decide on what paper I want to put on here, and then we'll decorate that and add some other things to it. So cut a piece of pattern paper out of the plaid, and I cut it at 6 7/8 wide by 3 1/8 tall, but I laid it down and made sure to cut it so that these patterns of the lines pretty well match up. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and ink it real quick on the edges and then glue that down. So pretty much that's how to make the easel box on the easel on the box. So that's all you need. I need to really show you, but I'm going to go ahead and do some decorating and pull all my stuff together, and then before I glue it down, I will start showing you exactly what I'm doing to the different sections here. Here you need to pretty much keep it flat, whatever you add. Let me line these up real quick. Like you could put cut-aparts or sayings or stickers if you have them, whatever. So you want to keep everything flat here so that this piece will lay down. And then you put your decorating like flowers and different things here on the top. I went ahead and designed my January easel, the January calendar for the easel on the top of the box. And I've already finished it, but I'm going to share with you what I did so that you can recreate yours this way if you choose to. I want to be able to switch out every month the decorations. So I had to figure out a way to do that. So what I did is, of course, the calendar is just held on with a clip. So when I'm done with January, I'm going to take this off. Now I cut a piece of cardstock here because I wanted some black on the background, especially since this was blue and I wanted some black to highlight it. So take some of your cardstock and cut it to, this one's 6.5 by 6.5 square. And so this calendar each month will just clip on however you want to clip it on to the easel. And then I love flowers. So I want to be able to switch out my flowers. Now, these pretty sparkly beige ones may work for February just fine, but the roses not so much. So I used magnets to attach my flowers. So these have magnets on the back, and this will stay permanent so that I can switch these out for each month. These also come off just like that. And then this snowflake. So I have, and I used a small one for that. So this will be a small element. This is permanently glued on. The neutral cream colored button twine will work for every month, and I just put a vintage button right in the center. So this is permanent. You could do a magnet on your bow too if you wanted to. So these just attach like this. Now in my stash I had some metal discs that I used with magnets. I didn't use all of my basic gray magnets. So you might have something like that in your stash, and you just line these up with the magnets, and there's your decoration. Then I also did that. I added a sticker here on the bottom of this, and then some plastic embellishments there, and some more of the snowflake stickers. But the cut aparts, this is the one I had that was matted to the black, so I matted it to some of the snowflake paper. Added some of the snowflakes, magnet on the back, and again that just snaps on there. And the cut apart the verse as well that says, "And now we welcome the new year full of things that have never been." So the magnets on the back. I matted this to black cardstocks, and that just drops there. So I will have for each month flowers and elements. Some of your flowers you can use again on different months like that. And so when this stands up, I know it's going to be hard to show you, but this stands up with the easel. And then here on this piece here, so it's not plain, I did 2 more cut aparts and used magnets for them as well. So this is the children sledding. Added a sticker snowflake, and so that just clips on with the magnet. You can turn it any direction you want. And then this one has the magnet as well. The snow falls softly, quietly, and winter beauty fills the air. So I am not going to do a detailed decorating tutorial for every month for this easel. Once I get them all finished, I'll show all of them, but all will be made the same with the different elements that will attach. So each one will have 1 magnet on the back. These magnets are permanent here onto the base so that we can switch that out. And then I'm going to do one more thing to this box. I think I'm going to put a support piece on the back, so I will show you how to do that. So that is our January, our easel, our box with our album inside. So next I will show you how to do a support piece, an add-on, if you choose. Otherwise, when this comes out, it does kind of have a wiggle to it, so that I didn't like that. Maybe it should have had a back on it, but I like the album being the back of it. So I'm going to add a support piece here on the back. So I'll show you how to do that. To create the support piece for the back of my matchbook box for my calendar, I decided that I didn't like the way it leans on the back by having no end piece, but I want the album to actually be that part of it. Get my scoreboard. I cut a piece of lightweight cardstock, chipboard, I'm sorry, lightweight chipboard. So this is 12 inches by 2, and I'm going to score the 12-inch side. I'm going to put it in at the top at 1 5/8. So that is 1/8 beyond 1 1/2. So right there, and give it a good scoring. You want it to be able to bend. Then flip it around and score the other end at 1 5/8 as well. There, good score. And I'm going to fold and bend these toward each other. This will give a little more strength to it. Score, burnish it really good here. Just like that. So that is our support piece that now we need to probably wrap. So I'm going to cut black cardstock to fit on this, and I'm also going to score the ends of this. Now, your lightweight chipboard is available to order from Country Craft Creations. You can also use the cardboard backing off of some of your paper pads that you get, and cereal boxes may not be strong enough, so you could glue 2 of those together if you need that for this. So this is going to do is here on the back side, we're going to be attaching this to pull it together, and hopefully it should help to stabilize and keep this box from bending quite so much. So let me get me some cardstock. So in my scraps, I cut 2 pieces of cardstock that are 3 inches tall, a 6 1/4 wide, and I'm going to seam these together. I think that's going to be long enough, maybe not. Let me see here. Maybe I didn't cut them long enough. Seam them together. Going to have a small margin. Should have made these a little bit wider. So in my notes, I'm going to change that to 6 1/2 on each one. But I'm going to go ahead and use these because I don't want to waste any of my cardstock. So I'm just going to put a little line of glue right here. This is a new bottle, so here goes. Hope I don't put out too much. Seam these together right here. In my frame, make sure you can see me. What we're going to do is going to wrap this lightweight chipboard piece. It probably would have been easier to do this in different sections, but I want it kind of tight, so we're going to see how this works. So this, we're going to lay this here so it has about a 1/2 inch, the top and the bottom, and it's only going to have about a 1/4 inch on each end. So if you cut it at the 6 1/2, these 2 pieces of cardstock, seam them together, you will have more room for your fold over. So I'm going to put glue on the back side here. I didn't put any glue on the fold. And I'm just going to lay this at about a 1/4 inch from the end and about a 1/2 inch from the top and the bottom. And I'm going to burnish that. Okay, so now I'm going to fold this top piece and also the bottom. What I'm doing is just wrapping this piece. I'm going to go ahead and use glue. We need to miter these little ends here. Let me grab my smaller scissors. The long ones will do. I'm just going to angle cut it right across the ends. And I'm leaving about a 1/16 of an inch paper from the tip. And now I'm ready to glue this down. So I put glue right along the seam, onto the paper, right along the edge of the chipboard, and then glue here on the cardstock to fold it over. And you really have to burnish that down to get that glue to catch. It doesn't want to at first, but we're going to make it. There we go. Just burnish that really good where the seam is. And then we're going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to make sure that this piece of paper that extends over is kind of poked down there, right in here. And then we're going to fold this really short piece over. So I'm just checking my corners here, make sure they look okay. And then I'm going to glue that down. It's a little more difficult with just the 1/4 inch, but I think it'll be okay. I'm going to have to burnish. And the same thing on the other side. I've already pushed it around. Okay, so we got that wrapped. Got some glue on this side, but it'll be okay. I'll rip that off. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and refold this. Like I said, I want it to be really tight when I wrap it around my box. So, like that. Now I'm going to finish this. You don't have to finish here on this end, because that's what's going to be glued. So we just want a finishing piece right in here. So this should be, I want to make it all the way to the fold. Eight and 3/4. So I'm going to cut this down to 8 3/4. By 1 7/8. Well, no, it should be shorter than that. Let's see here. 8 3/4 by, yeah, 1 7/8, because this is 2-inch piece. So yeah, this is going to glue right in there. Didn't get it cut all the way through. I was wondering why it was a little long. So that's going to glue right in there between that, those 2 fold lines. It needs trim just a tad. There and right there between those fold lines. Burnish that. This will go to the inside. So I'm going to get my scoreboard and lay this here. And so I'm going to rescore, put this down. 1 5/8. I'm just getting a score line into that cardstock there. 1 5/8. Okay, so now we bend that, and we're going to fold it over and burnish those fold lines. Okay, so that's the support piece. And we can go ahead and pattern this here on the outside. You can leave this black on the inside, or if you want, you can add pattern paper. So I'm going to look at my scraps and see what I have left. Probably the plaid. So I have a couple of those left that I'm going to cut. So it's the inside and the outside. So you can do one way and one the other if you want, or you can just leave this black to match the inside. So I'm going to measure this. Just under 8 3/4. So that one's already cut. Just about that size. Look at it. It's kind of hard to see on the black. Okay, and we want it to be 1 7/8. I'm going to ink this. And this is going to go on the outside right here. And then we'll cut 2 pieces to glue on each end. I'll go ahead and, I think I'm going to use the plaid, yeah. Use the plaid side, so I'll put the glue here. I had thought of adding this support piece before I finished the whole box, and then I thought, well, let's wait and see, you know, how it works without it. But then once I got it all done, put the album in there for the drawer, I decided it really needed it. So we're going to cut 2 more pieces that are 1 7/8. One 7/8 tall. That's right. And these need to be about 1 1/2 each. The sides here. And this one in this section looks like it might need trimmed down just a little bit. So dry fit it, make sure it doesn't go over your fold lines, and trim down if necessary. Glue these on. Okay, so there it is. So make sure that I'm putting it on the back side. So here's the calendar upside down. So this is the back side right here. So we're going to square it up. And this is going to go right in the center. So we're going to glue. I'm going to use some score tape and some glue. Score tape will help to hold it while it's drying. And glue will make sure that it doesn't go anywhere later on. So I'm going to put 2 pieces of score tape along the fold edge and the outer edge. On both sides. Let's take the backing off on all of them. Okay, now, ready for some glue on the center here. Okay, I'm going to take these pieces off the bottom, because I think if I stand it up, it will be better. So I'm making sure that the clip side is here at the top. And I'm going to take this and lay it over it. Make sure they're even. Kind of center it. So you've got a gap here and a gap here. Make sure they kind of look straight. And I'm going to attach one side down. And then the pull and attach the other side. And make sure, whoops, that they stay squared here. Just like that. So if you have some long clips that you can use to attach, I would go ahead and do that, but I think the score tape's going to hold it good enough. I'm going to burnish this right here where the glue is in the middle and the tape. Right here, like this. So there it is, like that. Support, so now it stays square. And it is black inside down in there, but you can't really tell that because the sides are also black. So, oops, sorry, I lost my light. And I forgot to turn my other one on, so let's see if that helps some. There we go. So this one goes here. And then this one, like that, the magnets. And now we're ready to put the album back in. So make sure the pull is to the front. And these are the lids are magnetic. The magnets are attaching on the lids. And I just tilt my box up, grab my album, whoops, grab the album, and start with the bottom. And then just feed it on through. So it should fit just fine. Like that. And push it in. And there we are. So this comes to the back here. And now then we have the plaid on plaid with the black defining it. So I really like that, how that looks. So that worked out really well. So now we have the drawer here. Okay, so that is how to make the easel box for your calendar book. I will also make all the elements for this. I won't be showing that as I go because they're all going to be made the same way. It'll just be different flowers, but I'll show pictures of each month on the easel box. And so I'll be sharing those in a separate video. Thanks, and be sure to shop at countrycraftcreations.com. Bye-bye.